the Russians have indicated that they are responsive to an end to this.
Russian missiles hit the Ukrainian city of Sumy on Sunday, killing dozens of people, making it the deadliest attack in Ukraine so far this year.
There were very, very, what I'll call cogent and substantive negotiations framed in something that's called the Istanbul Protocol Agreement. We came very, very close to signing something.
Local officials said the strikes killed more than 30 people, including children, and injured more than 80. According to Ukrainian Economy Minister Yulia Sviridenko, the strikes hit the city center as residents were attending church services for Palm Sunday.
And I think we'll be using that framework as a guidepost to get a peace deal done between Ukraine and Russia, and I think that will be an amazing day.
President Vladimir Zelensky said the attack showed how Russia is, quote, dragging out this war, and called for a strong response.
And the fact is, the president understands how to get deals done. Deals only work, Jake, when they're good for all the parties, and that's the pathway that we're on here.
Steve Witkoff is one of the several unqualified billionaires working in Trump's cabinet as a special envoy to the Middle East and negotiator to end the war in Ukraine. And despite his fealty to Putin and rosy conclusions, the Russian leader keeps doing whatever the hell he wants while Witkoff praises him.
What did you think of him?
I liked him.
Yep.
I thought he was straight up with me. Of course, by the way, I've said that. And you can imagine, by the way, I say that, I get pilloried. Oh, my gosh, you're actually saying.
There's a word called communication, which many people would say, I shouldn't have had because Putin is a bad guy. I don't regard Putin as a bad guy. That is a complicated situation, that war, and all the ingredients that led up to it. It's never just one person.
He liked him, had cogent and substantive negotiations with Putin, who was straight up with him, mostly because Witkoff thinks he's a good guy who can be trusted no matter how many times he proves them wrong.
Yes. Do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack on Ukraine?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake, but I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. We're certainly very severely hurt. The chapels, the churches, the spirals, all of the things that they had in Ukraine were among the most beautiful anywhere in the world. Most have been knocked down and blown up into a million pieces. But most importantly, you have millions of people dead that shouldn't be dead.
He was told they made a mistake, while Russia told everyone else they hit a meeting of Ukrainian military officers in the city center. And all those civilians that were murdered and wounded were just some human shields that Ukraine placed around military facilities to avoid being targeted. Sound familiar? Forget the fact that he was also told Putin would honor a ceasefire deal just last month that he broke within hours of making it. Just like he was told very strongly that Putin had nothing to do with interfering in our elections, right?
Just now, President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. My first question for you, sir, is who do you believe?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial.
Since it's a standard element of Trump's foreign policy towards Russia, Steve Witkoff was just doing his job of praising and covering for Vladimir Putin, going on trips to meet with him while delivering his messages without any regard for his blatant history of lying, killing, and routinely breaking these ceasefire deals as this administration announces them. But they're not embarrassed by the weakness that they show on a daily basis.
Witkoff knows nothing. In fact, he's more of a propaganda vehicle for Putin than anything else, conveying, for example, Putin's line that Ukrainians inside Kursk province were completely surrounded, which turns out not to have been true. But that's what Putin told Witkoff. Witkoff told that to Trump, and Trump then said it publicly. I think Putin has already received enormous concessions from Trump. conceding that the U.S. is not pushing for full restoration of Ukrainian sovereignty and territorial integrity, no NATO membership, no NATO security guarantees, in effect, no U.S. security guarantees. What Putin has to be careful of is not pushing Trump too far that he jeopardizes those concessions. But I think Putin believes he can get more concessions.
Yeah, John Bolton is a warmonger. But when it comes to recognizing the constant concessions that Trump's team keeps making to benefit Putin's objectives, it's a call that anyone paying attention can see.
How does the Kremlin view Witkoff?
Well, it's more than a century ago now that the founder of the Soviet communist state, Vladimir Lenin, talked about useful bourgeois idiots, meaning those people in the West, people like Leon Feuchtwanger and others who were happy to sort of believe in all the propaganda that was coming out from the Kremlin. Well, we see, unfortunately, that this sad tradition is carrying on. And, I've watched that interview that Steve Witkoff gave to Tucker Carlson, and I was just listening to what he was saying, and I wasn't sure what planet this man has been living on for the past 25 years, because that's how long Vladimir Putin's been in power. It's not some sort of an enigma. It's not a newcomer. It's not somebody whom we don't know anything about. This man has been in power for a quarter of a century. And throughout his time in power, he has waged wars, he has attacked other countries, he has murdered his political opponents inside Russia, like Boris Nemtsov, the leader of the opposition, like Alexei Navalny, another leader of the opposition. He's keeping thousands and thousands and thousands of political prisoners. People who disagree with him are being jailed in Russia for no other reason is that they have views that happen to differ from the views of Mr. Putin. And for the past 3 years, Vladimir Putin has been waging the largest war, the largest land conflict on European soil since the end of the Second World War. And then we see the envoy of the President of the United States saying that he likes this person, that he's not a bad guy, that it's never about just one person. And I think it's completely unacceptable to see senior officials of the United States administration acting as propagandists for the Kremlin and whitewashing all the crimes that Vladimir Putin has committed, both against our own people in Russia, against the people of Ukraine, and against the people of so many other countries around the world.